this is Chantel Modeste, and I thought I would share some of the books that I'm reading. I know it's imperative that we talk and share and learn about what our kids should be reading, but we as adults and parents should be pouring some great information and thoughts into our own spirits and brains and hearts. So the first book is The Read Aloud Family, and this is a wonderful book by Sarah Mackenzie. And in this book, she really highlights the need to never stop reading to your child. Reading aloud has been found to be one of the greatest predictors of academic success. Kids hear the stories, they hear words, they see the rhythms and the cadence of how books are written, and so they have a model to to follow as they write themselves. So the idea to read aloud to your child at no matter what the age is, they're 17, she encourages to continue to read it aloud to your children. So I love that. Making meaningful and lasting connections with your children, because that's what we want. The more I read with Madeline, the more I get to know who she is. I get to learn about her thought process just by reading books with her, things I didn't know about her. Even though she's my child and I see her every day, but the idea behind this is just to build conversation one book at a time. So The Read Aloud Family. Jim Quick, oh my gosh, I can't put this book down. He really he's considered a brain coach for the celebrities. And if you Google him, you'll see him with Will Smith and all these different celebrities, the X-Men crew. And so he's an expert at how to retain information, how to remember things, how to unlock the power of your brain. And even here on the subtitle, it says, upgrade your brain, learn anything faster, and unlock your exceptional life. Jim Quick. So I can't put this book down. As you can see, I have sticky notes. It's highlighted throughout, and I can't get enough of it. I'm learning about the brain. Oh, I see up there at the top, it has Jim Quick knows how to get the maximum out of me as a human being. That's from Will Smith. So Limitless, Jim Quick. The Knowledge Gap. This is a book from Natalie Wexler. She's a journalist, and she just, I don't know, kind of unveiled the truth behind why our children are not succeeding in school like they should. And so she attributes this to a gap that she refers to as the knowledge gap and the need for our children to be reading more. How many of the issues that we have in school could be fixed if we only did less testing and more reading to our children. So I love this. This is so informative here. So The Knowledge Gap. Then I love this next book, Play to Their Strengths. I believe someone gifted this book to me. And it's about the authors Annalene and Brandon Miller. And so it's about just the power of parenting your kids as God made them. How do we look at our kids and see what God has put into them, who they are in God's eyes, and to focus on the good. There's one line in here, and I'm kind of paraphrasing, where the authors talk about how sometimes our kids will bring grades home, and they could have all A's and could have one C, but we as parents, our initial response is to look at and discuss and get upset about the C. We overskipped all of the other good things that they've done, and we focus on the one thing that appears to be not so good. So they just kind of talk about how to focus on, okay, you got an A in this class. What did you do to earn that A? And focus on that versus focusing what they did wrong. So I love this book. Has a lot of great insights and techniques and great parenting tips. So I love this. Play to their strengths. And then Marva Collins. Oh my gosh. If any of you know her story out of Chicago, Marva Collins was an educator who started homeschooling her students from her public school. She knew they could do more. I've been on the south side of Chicago, and she believed in them and knew there was another way. And so she just threw at those students who was deemed behind, deemed lost and irredeemable. And what she did was just she threw at those students all the great things that the gifted students were doing. That's what I love about this. That's really transformed how I think about students. Instead of, you know, like I was mentioning on some other post about how we shouldn't be meeting kids where they are, but meeting kids where they need to be. And so she read this all like a little prescription on how to educate children. And so she read the classics with them. They did Shakespeare. They engaged in all these quote unquote hard, challenging texts and stories. And they became these A students who were high achievers because she challenged them with something a little bit more rigorous. She didn't go slow with them. She didn't provide remedial work with them. She went straight to the top and she taught them where she knew they needed to be. And then, of course, oh my gosh, Tony Evans, Raising Kingdom Kids, giving your child a living faith. Wow, this has transformed how I parent Madeline and how I just help other students. Raising kids with integrity, resilience, and remembering who they are. Remember who God says that they are. And so Raising Kingdom Kids is so powerful. And I often reference and go back and find scriptures in here. It's a quick place for me to find scriptures about that would apply to situations that Madeline might be going through. Tony Evans. If you know Tony Evans, you know, this is a winner. Raising Kingdom Kids for our children. And then the last is it's a big book. This is on A Guide to Classical Education, and it's similar to the same vein of Marva Collins. So all the Aesop fables, and so this is kind of one of the first books that I used when I began my homeschool journey, trying to understand exactly. I had to unlearn what I learned as a public school educator. I had to unlearn a whole lot when I started homeschooling Madeline a couple of years ago and started homeschooling other children. And so this is just a guide to classical education, those higher challenging texts that allow students to learn more and be more, building vocabulary. So just, real challenging thoughts in here that had me rethinking a whole lot. So I thought I just would share these books with you. We talk about what our children need to be reading, but we need to be instilling those very things, in our own thoughts and minds.